Mario is a strong, independent plumber who don't need no man. Or Goomba, or Koopa, or anyone else, really. In most games, he jumps his way solo to the end. So I challenged myself to beat Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door with only Mario. You know, the old-fashioned way, the way things were supposed to be, because when I was a kid... Yeah, we don't have to continue with that, right? Anyway, the point of this video is that we're only going to use Mario in the battles, but in the overworld, you need the partners to get all the things. This video is focusing only on the battles. And the rules are simple. Only Mario can attack, heal, or really do anything else. He has to always be paired with the weakest possible partner, Goombella, and I cannot upgrade her. That would make her a more effective meat shield. And she must cower behind Mario in the defense position for the entire game. If I forget to do that, I'll just switch her out, and then she won't even be defending. She'll take more damage. It'll be great. Also, only Mario can initiate first strikes, despite the fact that those occur outside of battle. And finally, if the game forces me to use a partner move, I'll tell you about that when it happens, and I'll simultaneously cry in shame. I did make one exception though. I allowed Goombella to use her tattle ability. This ability will allow me to view the enemy health bar and provide you, the viewer, with a better video, because you'll understand what's happening and why I'm a failure. It does provide a small amount of star power, but I tried my best to use this ability when Mario's star power was already full, so it's not really going to make his life any easier. And before I start, do me a favor and make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. We're aiming to reach 100 trillion followers by tomorrow. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Thank you for your help. At the start of the prologue, Mario immediately enters his first challenge, a battle with Lord Crump. And while Goombella is present, she doesn't participate in this tutorial battle. So after a few attacks, Lord Crump gets pounded into the ground, and we escape this horde with our little Goomba friend. And having seen Mario's strength, Goombella joins up. So after we bring our magical map down to the Thousand Year Door, we pursue the first crystal star. Unfortunately, even though I'm eager to go get it, I notice some strange white Tantacles sticking out of the water. So I hit them, and what should emerge but a classist squid who tries to kill our blue-collar brother. I use the power smash to hit his grounded Tantacle and decline his invitation to a Tantacles feast. I don't know where this squid has been. I then jump on the second Tantacle, which throws him to the ground, and then I power smash his sorry bum-bum. Once he gets up, I use Sweet Treat to restore my FP, I whack him again, and then he re-summons his Tantacles. But I easily take them out with a hammer and a jump, and one more power smash is enough to finish him off. So we jump across some platforms and head to Petal Meadows, the location of our first crystal star. Petalburg is a bright and vibrant place where Koopas frolic alongside a silver bomb.
Do I know you?
But we're after a crystal star. There's a cat on the shelf. Just get down. You jumped up there yourself. I can't help you. She's very cute, but she's not very smart. Anyway, to reach the Crystal Star, we have to head to Hooktail Castle, which is locked, and the mayor doesn't have the key, so we head to Schwank Fortress, win preppy, girthy Block Boys game show, and take on Goldilocks and the Million Fuzzies. Goldie and the Fuzzies all do only 1 damage per attack, and this means regular guards will reduce the damage of their attacks to 0. Unfortunately, since I made the wise decision to do this challenge as my first playthrough of this remake, I'm having some trouble hitting my offensive action commands, so I miss a bunch of jumps. But by attacking only Sir Golden Blob and ignoring the Million Man March, I'm able to take him out without too much trouble. This gets us the key to Hooktail Castle. On the way though, we meet up with Koops. He tells us that his dad disappeared inside said castle, so we'd better find him. But I don't really care about that. Instead, I fight the mini-boss of Hooktail Castle, this red and dead turtle. And as far as mini-bosses go, this one is rather weak. He has a lot of attack, but only 5 HP. His main gimmick is that he makes new skeletons that fight along with him. I use a fire flower to defeat his initial friend cohort and deal 3/5 of his health, and he creates another skeleton to replace his fallen comrades. And after I whiff on a multi-bounce, since I don't have enough jump attack to deal damage, I elect to use another fire flower to finish off the battle. I probably should have done that from the beginning. So I learn to become paper sideways, grab this cool FX badge, and encounter a beautiful thieving mouse who gives me a little hint. Hooktail hates frogs. So I head in to fight Hooktail, and I completely forget to equip the badge that makes Mario's attack sound like frogs. Shit nuggets. So I leave, equip it, and head back in. And once we hit Hooktail with our frog hammer, its defense falls to 0. And this allows me to use one of the most broken abilities in TTYD. multi-bounce. This badge lets you bounce on an enemy until you miss an action command. To a point. I think it maxes out at 8. Anyway, this allows me to do 5 damage per turn to Hooktail. Hooktail does get Mario to 5 HP, but that activates my close call badge. Therefore, Hooktail's next claw attack misses, and I use Sweet Treat to regain health. So with multi-bounce and a jump, I take Hooktail down to 0. At this point, though, this merciless dragon eats the audience, restoring 10 health points. But I still have the power of Frog, and Hooktail's attacks now do 0 damage when guarding. I think the Frog badge continually decreases Hooktail's attack, which is why this happens. So as you might guess, Mario easily dispatches this red menace, saving Coop's father from within his belly and securing the first crystal star. The second crystal star is in a big tree with some small bugs. Unfortunately, the entrance is blocked, and the only one who can unclog it is Flurry, who is best known for her 2 humongous lungs. Yeah, she gives great blow. Unfortunately, her necklace is missing, and the 3 ghostly witches aren't keen on giving it back. Fortunately, though, I have a new toy to play with, one of the best badges in the game, Quake Hammer. And a Quake Hammer attack can hit all enemies on the floor or ceiling, allowing me to deal damage to all 3 at once. And I get a bit lucky here. After I Quake Hammer the trio, the scenery falls on their head, amplifying my damage. I use a second Quake Hammer to bring them all down to 5 health, and then I hit a bingo, restoring my star power to full. This allows me to use an Earth Tremor to hit all 3 sisters, but I miss my action command and only Beldam goes down. Vivian and Marilyn then attack, and they take down Goombella. And here I realize one of the big issues with this run. A life shroom automatically revives Goombella. So basically, because my partner will die extremely easily due to not having HP, life shrooms are essentially useless, so I won't be buying a single one during this run. Anyway, my next jump attack takes down Vivian, and Marilyn takes Mario down to 1 HP. And since she has 3 left and both of my regular attacks will only do 2, I finish her off with a Fire Flower just to make sure no shenanigans ensue. So we head to Flurry's house, give her the pearl necklace, not that she didn't have one already, given that she has a humongous DSL connection, and then we head into the tree. And let me just take a moment away from this challenge to say this. I wish they'd made the Punies better than they are. They get stuck behind corners, they fall off of things, and they're generally just a nuisance. I mean, they're cute, especially the puffy grandma, but I don't like them. Anyway, we get the super boots for Mario, which have a higher power level and enable the spin jump ability, increasing his power further. And after a Metroid-style escape scene complete with timer, we fight Lord Crump's robot. And once again, I have a new toy, the Charge Badge. This badge allows me to charge up my attack for the next turn and unleash it with whatever skill I use. And the skill I use is Power Bounce, which allows me to hit for 7 damage this turn. I'm still working on the action command for this one. I then charge again, and I miss the action command again on my Power Bounce, meaning I only do 3 damage. So it's time to reevaluate my tactics and compensate for my incompetence, particularly since now Big Robot sends out its hands to strike. I kill the first with a jump attack, eat some damage, and kill the second on my next turn. I then heal with one of my mushroom fries, but now it's real. I use a spin jump and then a regular jump, and then Crump sends out his hands again. But this time I'm ready, and I use a Fire Flower. I then use another multi-bounce, which does 4 damage, sadly the same as a spin jump, and then another regular jump attack. Crumpybot then sends out his hands to try to finish me off. But since he only has 6 HP left, I use an Earth Tremor to deal 6 damage, destroy his machine, and gain my second crystal star. Chapter 3 takes place in the Glitz Pit, and this area presents the biggest obstacle to this run, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Before that, we infiltrate a crime syndicate and rat out a couple of eloping Piantas to get a blimp ticket, and then we fly to the Glitz Pit. The 20 battles here gradually increase in difficulty, and each has a randomized condition that must be met, so let's speed through the first 9 as those are reasonably simple. The first enemies are Goombas, and they're dispatched by a single Quake Hammer. The rank 18 Koopas are taken out by a bunch of jump attacks that flip them over and expose their defenseless bellies. For the Spinies in rank 17, I charge up and then use a single Quake Hammer to kill them. For 16, I smash both Spinies with a Quake Hammer. Unfortunately, the Lakitu raises a Spiny above its head on turn 2, so I can't jump, but I guard and spin jump him on the next turn. Against the 4 Thieves in rank 15, I charge on turn 1 and Quake Hammer on turn 2, killing the 2 red ones. And another Quake Hammer does just enough damage to take out the next 2. Rank 13 features 2 aerial enemies, so I use Earthshake here to take out all 3 in one one round. And rank 12's punk rocks are taken out by a single charged up Quake Hammer. Then in rank 11, I fight 4 bombs, but I am required to appeal to the audience once. So I do that, and then they too go down to a charged Quake Hammer. If you're not using Quake Hammer, you are missing out on an amazing badge. Seriously, start using it. But here is where the big sad happens. Rank 10 is the killer of this challenge. If you've played TTYD before, you know that Iron Adonises cannot be damaged by any of Mario's moves. So this is the one time that we have to break the rules. I run from the match, find an egg outside, and hatch it into a baby Yoshi. And I call that Yoshi Vanjie.
Hello, hello, hello!
And Miss Vanjie makes Mario look like a punk, because by sucking up and spitting out the Iron Adonises, she's able to take them out in just 2 hits, bringing us to rank 10.
Get those cookies, get those cookies.
But even though my challenge was thwarted, from now on, I am only using Mario. Rank 10 sees some Spinies, and I get a bit overzealous here. The condition is getting damaged 5 times, and I get a little excited and kill the Spiny Buzzy Beetles after only being damaged 4 times. That means that I have to fight them again. But the new condition is not using my jump, which I can't do anyway. So I win the battle, even though you technically jump up in the air using a Quake Hammer. For some reason, that kind of jump doesn't count, I guess. Rank 9 are these spiny dudes, and ironically, the condition is to not let my partner damage the opponent, and they go down to a charged up Quake Hammer. After this round, the Super Hammer becomes available at the watering hole, so now my Quake Hammer has even more ammunition. Rank 8 is against some blue Koopas. I knock over the first one right away, but I get hit for a ton of damage because these Koopas get a huge attack boost when knocked over. So instead of knocking the other 2 over and relying on super guards, which would negate all damage, I use an Earth Shake to do a ton of damage to all 3, taking out the flipped Koopa. I then use jump attacks to take out the other 2 in the next couple of rounds. But unfortunately, the Iron Adonises now return to the ring. And this means that my challenge is once again in big trouble, because I still can only damage them with Baby Yoshi. So sadly, I'm forced to break my rules once again, bring in Baby Yoshi, and suck and spit. And honestly, I'm surprised that Miss Vanjie spits at all.
I ain't no sugar mama, but I could give you a Lunchable or something.
But I take him out, and now, I promise, I will only use Mario for the rest of the game. Continuing on, the rank 7 battle with the Fuzz could be completed quickly with the Quake Hammer, but the battle requires me to appeal 3 times to the crowd. And after I do that, since my health is running low and the enemies have created some clones, I use an Earth Shake to take out the entire enemy party in 1 hit. The rank 6 battle has 3 Magikoopas, one of which flies. So I start with an Ice Storm, which freezes 2 of them. The white Magikoopa attacks instead of healing, and I next charge up. At this point, though, the white Magikoopa heals the enemy party. I then use a charged up Quake Hammer, and then I have a stroke of luck. I hit a bingo, restoring all of my star power. Mario takes some big-ass damage, and then the green Magikoopa makes the red one invisible, so I destroy it. On the next turn, though, the white Magikoopa heals its ally. I defend to make sure I can hit both in the same round, and the red Magikoopa then increases its own defense. But now I have an issue. The battle condition was beating both in 5 turns, and unfortunately, I've spent more than 5 turns on this battle now. So I finish off the battle as quickly as I can, but I have to do this one again. And the refight goes better. I start by killing the flying green Magikoopa with a spin jump so he can't invisify his allies. I charge up on my next turn and Quake Hammer on the next, dealing 5 damage to each Magikoopa. The white one heals itself, I use another Quake Hammer, and then I finish off red with a regular hammer attack. This causes the white Magikoopa to divide, but with a Quake Hammer, I can hit all the copies to determine the real one. And while I would have loved to use an Earth Shake here, the battle condition is not to use special moves. So instead, I use an Earthquake item to finish it off. Unfortunately, though, Bowser now crashes the party. He just hates watching us succeed. But I get a stroke of luck here. I use Power Bounce, and the Fortune Teller increases my attack, allowing me to do 22 damage with 1 move. I use a Spin Jump next and finish Bowser off with 1 more standard jump attack. This brings us to the rank 5 battle against Crow Daddy. And since our Super Hammer attack does 5 damage and he only has 20 health, there's a pretty clear path to victory. 4 Super Hammer attacks take him down. The rank 4 battle against 3 Hammer Bros gives me a little bit of trouble, and that's mainly due to my own incompetence. I'm frankly not well versed in their attacks, and I miss a bunch of defensive action commands. I ultimately get hit hard by a boomerang, and I die. But I have a little nippity nap, and I try again. And this time, I start by charging up a Quake Hammer. Unfortunately, Mario then gets gets shrunken. But still, I use my Quake Hammer and it does 3 damage to all of the bros. And fortunately for me, special moves aren't affected by attack decreases. So I use an Earth Shake to take down all 3 at once, proceeding on to the rank 3 battle. But before that, I notice that a fan has left some cake for Mario. So why not take a bite? It looks delicious. And sadly, this cake has been poisoned and removes Goombella from the battle, meaning Mario must now fight alone. God, is there a way to get more of this cake for the rest of the game? And in the rank 3 battle against the Chomps, I mess up again. I use my hammer, which is banned, and I am ashamed, and I fight again. Which is a disaster because the battle condition is having my partner act. And yes, Goombella is allowed to use tattle, but I think particularly in these later battles, Mario should be required to win and fulfill the condition on his own. So I have to run from this one and try again. But on my 3rd try, the condition is not using items. So 1 charged Quake Hammer and 1 normal Quake Hammer takes out the Chomps. So I move on to the rank 2 battle against Dark Koopa Troll. And this battle is completely trivialized by Quake Hammer. Quake Hammer knocks him on his back, making him unable to move, and reduces his defense to 0. As long as I don't let him get up, Dark Koopa Troll can't do a single thing and he goes down very quickly. And finally, we move on to the championship match against the Rolling Stones' #1 fan, Rockhawk. I start off by charging up my attack and then I hit him with a multi-bounce, dealing 14 damage. And then he decides to attack Goombella instead of Mario for some reason. I charge again and he misses his next attack due to my pretty lucky badge. I deal another 14 damage with a power bounce and this golden pigeon brings down the roof so that he can drop pots and pans on my head. So I hit him with a Quake Hammer, which dislodges him. Once again, best badge in the game. Another multi-bounce brings him down to 2 health, Goombella steals my life shroom, and Rockhawk goes down to another regular jump attack, gaining me a level. And since my health is feeling a little meager, I ascend to 25 health. This isn't the end of my time in the Glitz Pit, because now I have to fight the boss of this section, Grubba. Empowered by the Crystal Star, Grubba should prove a formidable threat. I open with a spin jump, which deals just 7 damage, and Grubba immediately reveals his special ability, which does no damage but sets him up to do 2 attacks in the next round. So he then boosts his attack and then uses that boost to butt bump me. And he kind of follows this pattern for most of the battle. Rather than just using his extra attacks to attack, he boosts up on one turn and attacks with the other, reducing his overall damage. And I'll be honest, I got a little bit lucky during this battle. Grubba missed a lot of his attacks due to my pretty lucky badge, and whenever he missed, I just decided to charge up my attacks more. So eventually, once all of his boosts wear off, I use a multi-bounce. This takes away all of his remaining health with 1 attack and gets me my 3rd Crystal Star. Twilight Town is mostly marked by walking around the landscape and grabbing stuff. We do learn to turn into a toilet paper roll though, which I appreciate. Though since neither my boyfriend nor I can figure out how to efficiently get it onto the little metal thing, let's focus in on the battles in this section. The first is with this ghosty guy, and I have no idea what his name is, and I don't care. I charge up first and hit him for an 18 damage power bounce, and then I charge up for a second one for 20 damage. He then transforms into me, and that restores his health to 10. So another power bounce takes him down to 2, and a final jump attack finishes him off. But unfortunately, he's now taken Mario's crystal stars, his body, and his identity. So we team up with Vivian, learn his name from a parrot, and pee ourselves, which allows us to name him and stomp him and our former very useless friends. And my tactics remain about the same. Charge up and power bounce for 25 damage, and then charge up and power bounce again for 25 damage, finishing off in just 2 hits. Kind of anticlimactic considering how much I had to just walk around in this section. But despite the disappointing build-up, we acquire Crystal Star number 4 and head back to Rogueport. Before I head on to grab the next Crystal Star, there's one person that I need to have a chat with, Ms. Mouse. I grab her a badge from Hooktail Castle, and then I add her to my party of useless friendos. I then recruit Bobbery and hop on a boat. And honestly, this premium paper boat is a prime example of why no one should buy one. I didn't understand why he hates boats, or why I'm Scottish now. Help. The boat's fibrous body is destroyed by ghosts, and we find ourselves stranded on Keel Hall Key. Oh, and in case I forgot to mention, don't buy a boat. Of the island's many fantastic features, the best is clearly the paper ability we get. While I don't advocate buying a boat, I think that if you can transform into a boat, I want to have your babies. My 2 biggest regrets in life are not learning more languages and not being able to turn into a boat. So I'd love to be able to pass on that skill to my progeny.
Wait, what?
But every voyage must come to an end. And given the mess of wrecked maritime vessels in Keelhaul Key, we must fight the one big boat that caused this mess, the Boat of Cortez. And Cortez will require a little bit of strategy. I start by hitting him with a regular jump attack, and his counter is pretty pitiful. A few spin jumps later, I'm able to push him into his second form, which really is quite similar to the first. He only has one component, so I hit him with 2 spin jumps and a regular jump and push him into his third form. In this form, he has several floating weapons that can each deal damage on their own, but each one only has 4 HP, so I hit them all with a shooting star for 6 damage, dropping them to the ground, and Cortez attacks for just 2 damage. Next, I charge up for a power bounce, but his swords come back to life. But I'm not too concerned about them, and I multi-bounce. But I miss the action command, which is devastating. But I get a stroke of luck here. The scenery sprays them with ice and freezes them, but now Cortez sucks up the audience, restoring his health, and kills Goombella, of course once again wasting my life shroom. And unfortunately, now that I'm charged, I'm out of FP. So I hit him with a regular jump attack and deal 12 damage, meaning he only has 8 health left. I now destroy his swords with a Thunder Rage, and he attacks one more time for just 2 damage, and I finish him off with a regular jump attack, acquiring the 6th crystal star. But this section isn't over, because Lord Crump wants to rumble, so we commandeer Cortez's ship and take him on. And he has some new tricks this time, namely his army of Crumpettes. But even with those, the classic charge-up power bounce strategy is super overpowered. My first power bounce does 22 damage, and it causes his cronies to jump onto a high-hanging beam. That seems dangerous to me, so I decide to take them down from there using a Quake Hammer. They strike with a bunch of dinky attacks, and a second Quake Hammer takes them out entirely. Then Lord Crump goes backstage to have a quick wank. This allows him to regain some health and start the battle anew with his vitality repleted. But the battle has not changed markedly from before. He and his cronies roll up into a ball, and Mario goes into critical health, activating his Power Rush badge, which increases his attack. But unfortunately, I once again miss my power bounce, putting me in grave danger. My only option now is to super guard against Lord Crump's huge ball, and I hit it. And he hits me back for 1 damage, and I go for the final power bounce of the match, but I miss that too. So I gotta super guard again, and I hit it again. And I guard Crump's attack, which brings me down to 1 HP. And this activates my Mega Rush badge, increasing my attack by a huge amount. So now that I have a bajillion attack, I hit Lord Crump with a jump attack, finishing him off and heading on to what? I can't. They have to fix this. I'm done. I quit. No, I quit. I'm quitting. I'm quitting right now. Goodbye. Okay, well, fortunately, I did save after I beat Cortez, so I head back into the battle with Crump again. It's fine. My first time through this battle was kind of embarrassing, honestly, so I'm happy to have a redo. I start by charging up, and then rather than attack right away, I just charge up again, and then a third time. My first power bounce brings Lord Crump to the wank point, and then he starts hitting me with balls. It doesn't sound that bad for me, but Mario doesn't like it. And since I'm at low health, I heal with a whack-a-bump and start charging up again. I hit a bunch of super guards and redeem myself with an 8-jump power bounce, which feels pretty amazing since it only took 2 hits to bring Crump to his knees, so I can whack him with my balls. And this time, the game does not crash. I head back to Rogueport, flash my newly acquired crystal star at the 1,000-year door, and head on to the XS Express. While Twilight Town used to be my least favorite location in TTYD, that's largely been remedied by the teleport pipe they placed in the town. Now, I really hate going through the XS Express. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's adorable. But it's just a bunch of walking from place to place talking to people. But there is one thing I like about it. At the Riverside Station, we get the Ultra Boots, which gives Mario's already broken jump attacks yet another unconditional power boost. But this brings us to our next boss fight, the Dust Bunny Grabby guy. This monster has 3 arms, all of which can attack. But once they die, the core becomes vulnerable. So I hit them with a Thunder Rage, and then a Boo makes Mario invisible, which is great because I use a spring attack against the core, dealing 18 damage, and then it pinches right through my ghostly body. I next use an HP drain to attack the pincher, and it deals 9 damage to Mario, forcing him to heal with an Ultra Shroom. But then Mario takes 9 damage from the pincher and uses a Thunder Rage to deal damage to the core and the Pinchy. And this means that I can now spring jump the core again for 18 7 more damage. It once again revives the pincher, and I take 11 damage this time. So I have Mario use a honey mushroom to heal this turn, and he once again takes 9 damage. Then I use Sweet Treat, and I purposely have Mario heal only 7 HP. So on the next pinchy phase, the pincher hits for 11. And that's not what I intended. I was trying to get Mario down to 1 HP to activate Mega Rush, and I failed arithmetic. But that's okay, because a Thunder Rage finishes off the Dust Bunny Grabby monster with a flourish. And with this monster defeated, there is not a single other obstacle between us and Crystal Star number 6. When we bring Crystal Star number 6 to the 1,000-year door, we find out that the final Crystal Star is on the moon. So we chat with a gold Babam in Train Town and then seek out the silver Babam, which I think we saw earlier in this video. Anyway, it's a journey. But at the end of the journey, we blast to the moon, solve a bajillion puzzles, play with a crane that gets us the Feeling Fine badge, equip that, and head into the final fight with Crump. And I think it's worthwhile to chat about my badge strategy for the upcoming battles. For this entire video, I've been taking the stance of the best defense is a good offense. So in that vein, I have 2 Power Plus badges equipped along with the P Up D Down badge. I also have a Mega Rush and a Power Rush badge equipped, which will give me a huge boost if I get down to 1 HP. I also have Power Bounce equipped, which scales really well with Power Up badges. And I have Damage Dodge equipped, which reduces damage taken by 1 if I hit a guard command correctly. This will mitigate the defense lost from P Up D Down. I also have Pretty Lucky equipped, so I can hope for a miss from the RNG gods. And finally, as I mentioned, the Feeling Fine badge to negate all status effects. Granted, it doesn't negate all of them, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, because it's time to fight Crump. I open with a Power Bounce, which I kind of fail miserably, dealing only 8 damage. And then he hits hard with his drill attack. And while I love a good drilling, this is not what I had in mind.
Your tone seems very pointed right now.
Anyway, in an effort to avoid missing another Power Bounce, I use Spin Jump this time. At this point, Big Robot releases his 2 arms, which can do a ton of damage if not defeated, so I use a Thunder Rage next turn to defeat both. Crump then uses his Spinny Blade move to deal 7 damage. The action command for this one is hard, guys. I don't know why. I can't get it. Another Power Bounce deals 10, and then Crump uses his most powerful attack, sucking up the audience and launching them at me. This attack does 36 damage to me, and for the first time in this challenge, I actually die. I'm gonna have to do a lot better if I want to beat this battle. On try number 2, I open with an 11 damage Spin Jump, but then Disaster strikes, and the robot's side of the field gets covered in fog, meaning my attacks may miss. And after I guard against his drill, that's exactly what happens. My Spin Jump completely whiffs. The arms come out next, and I use a Shooting Star to take them out, and a Spinny Blade deals 7 damage. So I decide to heal with a Sweet Feast at this point in the hopes I can delay my inevitable death. A drill attack deals 7 damage, and then I get a Stroke of Luck. A boo from the audience makes Mario invisible, but unfortunately, Magnus von Grapple just summons arms, which I defeat with another Shooting Star. A Spinny Blade does another 7 damage, and my Spin Jump does another 11. But this now brings the Grapple Bot into range to suck up the audience again, and he does another 36 damage, defeating Mario a second time. On try number 3, though, I get a Stroke of Luck. A ghost makes me invisible right before the robot's shooting attack, meaning Mario dodges its damage entirely. But then I don't defeat his arms right away, and they tear through Mario, killing him immediately. On try number 4, I charge up like crazy and hit a Power Bounce that does over 40 damage. However, I once again get audience shot to death. So what I'm realizing is that there are 2 ways I can combat this robot. I can either boost defenses before the machine gun attack, which is not my style, power through its 70 HP before it can use it, or just get lucky and have a boo make me invisible. Of course, I don't even get to try out any strategies on try number 5, as I get taken out by one of the arms. But on try number 6, I finally get it right. I start with a Spin Jump, super guard his first drill attack, and Spin Jump a second time. I regular guard the second drill, Spin Jump again, and then the arms come out. A Thunder Rage takes him out, and Magnus doesn't use his big gun yet. And I realize at this point that the HP trigger is around 50% HP. So rather than attack here, I heal. And then I start charging up Mario's attack. I charge once, super guard a drill, charge again, watch the arms come out, and then charge a third time for +9 attack and get hit 3 times. And then I get 4 hits on Mario's Power Bounce, dealing 46 damage and finishing off this rusty bucket of paper bolts. But if you thought this battle was difficult, just you wait. We haven't even gotten started yet, because now Mario heads through the 1,000-year door. The Thousand Year Door is home to several bosses, all of which provide a unique challenge. And the first is Gloomtail. I start this battle with slightly reduced HP, which was probably a bad idea, but I hit with 2 spin jumps before going down to 5 HP, and I use a sweet treat. Another bite brings me down to 3, and I sweet treat again. But now Gloomtail makes a mistake. It bites for 8 damage, bringing Mario down to 1 HP. This activates my Power Rush badge and my Mega Rush badge, giving Mario 6 additional attack. So I hit hard with Power Bounce, and sadly, I only make 4 hits. So Gloomtail hits with a jump attack, and I die. I was so close.
Oh, Jesus. Gross.
But that won't happen again. On my second try, I use a similar strategy, get down to 1 HP, and this time only hit 3 times, whiffing on the 3rd hit. I should mention that I equipped the All or Nothing badge before this battle, which increases power by 1 when an action command hits, but reduces damage to 0 if it misses. But anyway, I'm fearing the worst, and I'm fully prepared to die. So Gloomtail now charges up its next attack, which allows Mario to just finish it off with a jump attack, which was surprising.
Gagged them a bit. For sure.
But hey, I didn't use any fancy tricks for that one. Gloomtail's AI just let it down. So after I fight through the tower, I face another stiff challenge with Dupless, Marilyn, and Beldum. These 3 have some devastating tricks up their sleeve, and yet I still start things off in a pretty standard way. I charge up and Power Bounce on Marilyn. Unfortunately, this is a huge mistake, because this is where I realized that the Feeling Fine badge does not protect against every status, because Beldum inflicts a status that makes Mario unable to act, and he's almost immediately taken out by Marilyn's lightning. But on my second try, I realized that Beldum's HP is much lower than Marilyn's, so I charge up, take a few attacks, and then immediately Power Bounce on Beldum, killing her. At this point, Dupless transforms, and Marilyn charges up an attack, fortunately despite the fact that she could have killed me, so I use a Sweet Feast. So on my next attack, I Power Bounce, take a couple hits that bring me down to 1 HP, and heal with an Ultra Shroom. But after that, I'm able to take out Dupless, and with only Marilyn left, she does her best, but another spin jump gets her low, and a final Power Bounce destroys this buxom Barbie. Which brings us into the next fight with Grotus. Grotus starts out by summoning 4 dingleberries that create an impenetrable barrier around him. However, each of them only has 3 HP, so I can destroy them with an Ice Storm. Unfortunately though, he creates 2 new ones each turn, and each one provides him with an extra point of defense. So on my next turn, I use an Art Attack. Since special moves aren't affected by defense, I'm able to do 12 points of damage and kill off his 2 eyeball dudes. On the next turn, I spin jump, and then Grotus gets his full shield back. I kill off the dingleberries with a shooting star, and then I go down to 6 HP after his next attack. This means I have no choice but to heal. But of course, this delay means that Grotus gets his full shield back, so I once again have to kill the dingleberries before I can do any damage. 2 more come out, and I do 12 damage with a Power Bounce. I then use an Earth Tremor to finish off the dingleberry shield one more time, and then Grotus brings Mario down to 3 HP, meaning my Power Rush is now active. That means it just takes 1 more spin jump to finish him off, and fortunately, killing him gets me another level, restoring my HP and star power for the next battle with Bowser. I start off by charging up twice and going after Kammy Koopa, since she is a nasty woman, and I normally support that. And this gorgeous mug is evidence of that. Not this mug right here. Anyway, she goes down to just 1 Power Bounce, and then it's time for Bowser. I charge up again and hit him with a big Power Bounce, but then I decide to go for broke. I defend to get Mario into peril, once again activating Mega Rush and Power Rush, and I'm pretty sure that if I hit a big Power Bounce, I can kill him. And I whiff on the 4th jump, which means, again, I do 0 damage because of All or Nothing. So Bowser jumps on Mario, and my only chance of survival is a clutch Super Guard, and I miss it, so Mario dies. I really suck at Super Guards.
What do you do successfully?
Which means now I have to fight Grotus again. And while I'm not going to regale you with the play-by-play, let me just tell you once again that I died several times. But when I finally do get back to Bowser, here's how it goes. I charge up twice to kill Kammy, but unfortunately I miss the 4th jump. But fortunately, I'm able to take her out with a single single spin jump right afterward. And then I begin to bear down on Bowser with spin jumps. They do 15 damage apiece. I get him down to 10 HP, he attacks and activates my Power Rush badge, and then I get to flex on him, performing a spin jump that does 9 more damage than he has health, and he goes down. And this means we're almost at the last battle. And before we begin the final suffering, let me remind you that joining the Tantacles Discord using the link in the description-do permanently prevents hot girl Goombas from suffering frosting-related fatalities. Thank you. Grotus releases the Demon of Legend, and it ever so gently transforms Peach into a cooler, more goth-looking version of herself. She should be grateful. She needed a style upgrade anyway. And now it's time for the final battle against the Shadow Queen. This form has a few tricks, but not too many. But once the Shadow Queen regains her true form, she becomes invincible. So I just need to stay alive. And naturally, I thought this was a guaranteed win, and I got struck with lightning, and I die. Which is sad because this is the easiest part of the battle.
Make it happen! I don't want to hear any goddamn excuses.
The second time I try this battle, it goes a lot better. I do have to burn an Ultra Shroom to heal before the big purple lady assumes her true form, but this time I'm able to survive her wrath. And with the power of Peachful Prayer, we reach the true final battle in which the Shadow Queen becomes vulnerable. And just to be clear, I'll be referring to 3 parts in this battle: the main body, the big hands, and the hand swarm. I start with a shooting star to take out the big hands and deal a tiny bit of damage, and then the Shadow Queen hits with lightning. Fortunately though, the hand swarm misses Mario, giving me some extra time to reflect on my life's choices. For example, why did I torture myself with 8 years of medical school and residency only to obliterate my sanity with these stupid challenges? Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either. Anyway, from there I use an art attack, and I am a bit of a failboat and don't deal enough to destroy the hands. But then something awful happens. The Queen of Darkness boosts her attack. This means I have no choice but to use one of my boost sheets, which allows me to avoid 2 attacks with 100% success. I keep up my momentum until the Queen charges for another huge attack, at which point I use my second boost sheet. And while this all went very well at the beginning, my biggest problem is that I eventually just run out of healing items. I do use a couple of sweet treats to try to salvage the battle, but it doesn't work out and I die. I just didn't plan correctly for this battle. But I see a wall and my head craves its warm embrace, so I go for it just one more time. And after I get the Dark Lady down to 99 HP, I have a stroke of luck. I hit a spin jump with 2 shine sprites in the slot machine, and I hit the slots to restore my HP, FP, and star power to full. And even though Mario gets low on his next turn, I use a Sweet Feast to restore his health. This essentially saves 2 healing items. Of course, on the next turn, the Shadow Queen charges up, so I have to use a booze sheet to prevent the damage. Unfortunately, though, this is my last booze sheet, meaning when she uses it next time, I have no choice but to heal up and to hope for the best. But since I managed to get rid of her hands before this, the damage isn't too bad. A shooting star takes out her hands again, and then I focus all of my energy on the Shadow Queen. And while I have a fair number of healing items left, it's far from a slam dunk. Her big hands can drain Mario's HP, prolonging the battle of attrition and ultimately running me out of items. But soon after, the Shadow Queen is down to 32 HP, and I use my last Jelly Ultra, which prompts her to heal twice and bring me down into kill range. So I decide to use an Earth Tremor to damage her and take both of the big hands out while doing 6 HP of damage in the process. But unfortunately, after that, her huge attack comes out and I'm ready to die. But she misses due to my Pretty Lucky badge, giving me 1 or 2 more turns to finish her off. I use a spin jump on my next turn and her big ass hands take me down to 2 HP, meaning my Power Rush is now active. And my next spin jump does 21 damage, taking down the Shadow Queen and proving that you can beat Paper Mario TTYD with only Mario. Except the battle against the Iron Adonises. I'm sorry, but if you loved this video, you can watch another one by clicking my playlist with all of my Super Mario RPG challenges. Bye-bye.